like to be the guy that was the missing piece that helped us win it at the end of the year. That was what Hobbs told me coming in, and we still feel like that's an absolute possibility, if not the expectation. So we're all trying to win that last game, and I think if the end of the year we're raising something over our head, I wouldn't be surprised.
The Razorback pitching staff is one of the best in the country.
And a 1-2-3 start for Mason Molina in a weekend of strikeouts for this Arkansas pitching staff.
A piece of that dominance is the lefty Texas Tech transfer, Mason Molina.
Struck him out. Number 10 for Molina. And he is mowing him down here in Arlington.
After dominating the Big 12, Molina was looking to step up his game. Dozens of schools in the running, Arkansas gave him a pitch he couldn't turn down.
You have 10 months until you are on the draft board. How well can we get you from where you are here to be the best version of yourself there? And they laid it out, and that was kind of the separator.
Pitching coach Matt Hobbs knew when they landed Molina, the lefty would be an immediate contributor.
When a guy like Mason goes into the portal, you're like, wow, if we could get that guy, that would solve a lot of problems. If you're going out and trying to get somebody like that, it's because he's going to start.
Despite serving as new competition for starts on the pitching staff, Molina felt nothing more than open arms when he arrived.
The worry when you're coming in, they're going to be jealous and, hey, this guy's coming in to take my innings. I felt nothing with that. It was all, this guy's going to come throw some huge innings for us.
And since joining the club, Molina has proven himself as a weekend starter, filling a missing piece that has helped lead the Hogs to a dominant season.
1-2 pitch. He struck him out swinging. Number 10 for Mason Molina.
But for Molina, there's only one goal he has his eyes on.
I'd like to be the guy that was the missing piece that helped us win it. That was what Hobbs told me coming in, and I think if the end of the year we're raising something over our head, I wouldn't be surprised.
Catching up with Mason Molina. Now we are in the team meeting room inside the Hunt baseball facility. And so at any point we may hear things along the way because it's the middle of the season and we can't shut down the facility to do interviews.
Yeah, there's some guys screaming down there, I think, so.
Yeah, and you're right in the middle of it now. What's day to day look like?
It obviously depends on the day of the week. Day after a start, we do some mobility. With Bell, I'll maybe play a little light catch and just kind of continues me into the week. Get a couple lifts in here and there. We got practice a couple days a week right now, just depending on the time frame and midweeks that we have. And then, just kind of roll into the weekend, get a little primer in the day of, kind of get my body going, and then go out there and throw. So.
You went to high school in Mission Viejo, California.
Yes, sir.
Did you grow up there?
Yeah, pretty much. Grew up a little bit in Irvine, but then moved down to Mission Viejo / Rancho Santa Margarita, and been there ever since.
I want to go through your story a little bit. And I was thinking as I looked at your path from that part of California to Lubbock, Texas, is a pretty big difference. Mm-hmm. You want to describe the difference from where you grew up in California to Lubbock, Texas?
Yeah,
Texas
obviously
Tech?
it's a little bit of a culture shock when you get there, but I felt like I made some good friends pretty quickly, and they kind of took me in and kind of showed me the ropes of the area because there's a bunch of guys from Texas there. So, felt like I acclimated pretty quickly. And then from there to here really wasn't much of a difference either. I felt like it was pretty similar for the most part. Landscape was a little different, obviously, but, I loved it there. Like, the town's a great place. There's not a lot to do, but, I golfed, I played baseball, and I did school. And so that was basically what I did in my free time was golf and hang out with the guys on the team and whatnot. And so, yeah, I enjoyed my time there. So
I feel like the first time I ever heard of Mission Viejo, California was watching the Little League World Series on TV.
Yeah.
Was baseball pretty good growing up in the area? Did you ever get on a team that could have gone?
So my year that was eligible for the Little League World Series, we had a really good team, and we just played bad for a couple games and ended up losing. But the year after me was the year that team Rancho Santa Margarita went to the college or the Little League World Series. So that was pretty cool. I knew all those guys on that team. I still talk to them. A bunch of them go to my old high school or went to my old high school. So it was kind of cool having that story in our hometown. But yeah, there's a bunch of good baseball down there. I mean, I felt like every time we were playing high school games and travel ball, there's a bunch of D1 commits and stuff like that. And you're always facing good pitching. There's always a solid couple hitters on the team. And so I feel like that helped prepare me a little bit for college, just having to face that better talent. And then at the same time, there's a bunch of good coaches down there now because of that. So a bunch of guys are retired over there and whatnot, or old pro guys. And so there's a whole lot of resources for kids down there that want to play, and grow up playing baseball. And so I think it's been really good for the community. There's a lot of good baseball down there. And so, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's still guys coming out of there that are really good, but I mean, you can kind of look back and see some of the names, like Harvard Westlake High School had some of those amazing guys like Max Fried. I think it was Lucas Giolito. They were both on the same high school team at the same time. And then right down the street from me, Nolan Arenado and Matt Chapman went to the same high school. So there's some pretty good baseball around where I'm from, but yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Did you play at a very young age? And
yeah.
Were you playing all sports, or did you kind of drift into baseball pretty quick?
It was baseball, a little bit of soccer, a little bit of football. And then other than that, it was pretty much like as soon as I got to high school, it was pretty much, I mean, honestly, before that, it was just baseball. I kind of knew that's always what I wanted to play. Just always had a knack for it. Always kind of loved the game. Just fell in love with it and haven't really gotten away from it at all. So, and then I picked up golf when COVID hit. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, I play a little bit here and there, a little hard to play during season, but.
Are you any good?
I'm okay.
Pitchers did that, and they probably still do.
Yeah.
In the major leagues, but they, because it's a little bit
got
different.
A couple off days.
Yeah.
So I figured why not transfer my baseball swing into something useful. So.
Yeah, because you're not really using it now.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of business that happens on golf courses. I'm just trying to prepare myself for life after baseball.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And maybe in the big leagues. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll see about that one. But.
But tell me more about growing up. So family, siblings.
Yeah. So actually, my parents just got here today. They just shot me a text before I came up here. Mom and dad. Mom's from Boston, Massachusetts. Dad is from Napa Valley, north in California. They still live out there. My brother, 17, high school senior, big kid, almost bigger than me. It's a little scary. Kind of got gypped on the genetics on that one, because he's pretty athletic too. So I never had that twitchy muscle kind of thing, but he definitely does. He plays football, baseball. He could have played basketball. He just doesn't. So I think it's going to be fun watching him grow up a little bit. And
I don't know if you can hear it listening, but we got some
a little bit of music downstairs. Sorry.
Room, and they're getting better down there. You're not missing a workout, I know.
No, I went before. Pitchers are done. That's position guys.
There you go.
Bill does a great job down there. Speaking of, I mean, that's the reason they put it in the middle of the building is it's the heart of what we do. So you see the things on the wall, discipline, toughness, and his main thing is execution. How well can you execute your moves? How well can you execute your plan to get better that day? And so he does a great job with all of us, and everything's pretty specific to what we do. And then kind of transfers down to the PDC down there, the pitching center, and then we brings it out onto the field. So.
Man, it sounds like you got the culture pretty quick when you got here.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple guys to show me the strings. So.
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about that, but first, you mentioned your brother and him saying it differently, maybe a little bit more naturally athletic, fast twitch stuff than you. But you've obviously found something that has allowed you to get to a very high level of collegiate baseball. What do you credit that to?
I think, I was never the most physically gifted person. I'm not 6'6". I wasn't born with super fast twitch muscles. I don't have a really great metabolism by any means, but I think I did a really good job. I like to pride myself on my work and my discipline to stay to a plan. And so I think just, it sounds cliche, but keeping my head down and working and trusting in the process, having faith, and, that everything's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. And so I think, coaches drilled that into me young. If you put in the work, it'll show up later. And, I think I've done a good job of setting myself up for success in that way. And, just like I said, I felt like I did a really good job coming out of high school and going through high school and at Tech and here, that I've put in my work, and, I'm continuing to put it in, and hopefully it's showing off a little bit. But
was there a point where you kind of thought you had a future in baseball?
I think the first real oh wow moment was when I got my first call from a college with a scholarship in high school. I was like, okay, I might be able to do this.
What were you, maybe a junior, senior?
So it was my junior fall, going into my junior season, right before COVID hit. Got a call from UCI, I think it was, and that was at the time was my dream school because I grew up in that area. I loved going to UCI baseball games, college games, and so.
Is that UC Irvine?
Yeah, Irvine. Yeah. And I was born in Irvine, so I kind of grew up in that whole area.
And they've had some good baseball players.
They really have, and I have a couple buddies that go there right now, and so that initial call was kind of like a shock. I was like, oh man, maybe I could do this for a long time, and blah blah blah. And obviously you're thinking a little too far ahead, but that was kind of the real okay, this isn't just like a high school thing. You could actually go and do this, and so. And then just continuing on, just kind of, like I said, going through tech, getting a couple accolades for, pitching the way I did. And then obviously being here now and setting myself up for the draft this summer, which is a little too far away for me to think about, but it's always in the back of your head. And so, hopefully I can do this for a little bit longer.
I heard you on the Razorback Daily podcast talking about how tech was basically your best offer by far, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like coming out of high school. How did Texas Tech find you out there?
Yeah, my travel ball pitching coach, Mike Cosgrove, he's out of SoCal. He's worked with a bunch of pro guys, and I was playing for his travel ball team, and he's got good connect. He's really close with J-Bob, who's over there right now. And he said, hey man, I just want you, this guy's not getting the looks he should, blah, blah, blah. Send some videos. They had a cross checker come look at me. Basically, happened overnight. He did it all behind my back before they were all ready to make an offer. As soon as they were ready to make an offer, he connected me with them, and I called them, and that was like, hey, we've been watching you for a little bit. We really like what we see, blah, blah, blah. We want you to come here. All expenses paid, whatever, blah, 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 whatever it is. And so for me, it was
long way from home.
Yeah, long way from home. But at the same time, college is expensive. So any way I could make it easier on my parents and easier for my brother to go to college and whatever he has to do, I was willing to do whatever I could to help myself out, help them out, help everybody out. And it's kind of a win-win-win for everybody. So, I think, obviously I'm super grateful for those guys. The coaches are amazing people. The guys there, there's going to be a couple guys. There's a guy there I still talk to every day, and a couple other guys I talk to on a weekly basis. So, make great friends there. And so, things happened the way they did, and so now I'm here, but I still appreciate everything those guys did for me.
Well, you made it worth the experience for them, for sure. I mean, freshman of the year, and you mentioned a couple of accolades. You appeared in 20 games that first year. You did well.
Yeah.
I mean, you had success there. And I think your sophomore season, all Big 12 second team, all regional team in the Gainesville Regional, in the NCAA tournament, 16 games on the mound. I mean, you've got the experience. You had 12 strikeout game, a 13 strikeout game. Just to give people a little background on you, that's how Arkansas got interested in you. And I'm kind of interested Texas Tech is a program that has had success, and they show up in the NCAA tournament. It's not unusual to see them, or maybe even at the College World Series. I don't know what the numbers are. Arkansas is way up there, obviously, and has played for a national championship in recent years. What was the difference for you? How would you describe the difference between the Texas Tech program and the Arkansas? Not necessarily in a disparaging way.
No, yeah,
but what was
absolutely
attractive? When you look at this program, I think it's interesting for people to hear the difference between what you see in this facility and what everything around here. It doesn't make other programs bad. This is just, I feel like it's exceptional.
Yeah, I think it's just, it steps above anything I've seen. And I visited a couple places this summer, and even as a kid, I've seen other places. And traveling with the Big 12, I've seen other places. And this place is nothing like I've ever seen before. So, I think, well, one, obviously the facilities are unbelievable. There's great crowds. It's a great fan base. Obviously the SEC is something else. But apart from that, I would say the biggest difference is how close everything is together. Pitching, lifting, and all the coaches all work together in the same building. At Tech, it's lifting's over here, pitching's here, hitting's here, coaches are over here. So it was a little more spread out. It wasn't as like a well-oiled machine, I felt like, which isn't a bad thing because it works for people, because some people like doing stuff over here and whatever. And that's why I think a lot of the times they have a really good lineup every year. And that's been a thing forever. I mean, their lineup is unbelievable this year. They think they had the leader in doubles still over there. And so for me, what I wanted to get out of it, I didn't feel like that was going to happen there. Just the way that I work and the way that my mindset goes and the way my daily process goes, I felt like this was a little bit of a better fit for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. The transfer portal is, I think, good and bad. There's so many guys that don't get recruited or don't get noticed.
Yeah.
And especially like a baseball scenario, because we don't have recruiting budgets at a level in baseball, even at, top major programs that you have for maybe football or whatever. And it's just, there's so many players. How do you get them all,
Yeah.
And so it takes going to a school and proving yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And we've all been in jobs that like you don't know until you're there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it a bad place. It may not be a fit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear, like, you just felt like, I don't know, there's just something that doesn't jive for me here. Was that hard to go to guys that took a chance on you and tell them like, hey, I know I've done okay and it's been decent, but I feel like I got to move on?
Yeah, absolutely. It was hard. And, they're great people. They took care of me. They were basically a second family to me. And, I still would love to reach out to them and if anything happened or whatever. But, obviously it's hard. You become a family with those guys and the teammates. And so, it obviously it was a difficult decision, and I went back and forth a couple times, and at the end of the day I made the decision I made. But yeah, absolutely, it's not an easy thing to do, and you wouldn't ask anybody to just leave something if they're doing okay there. So
how does the process work? So you put your name in the portal.
Yeah, so I had to
fill
contact
out an application or something.
You contact a compliance person. They send you a form. You enter it, and then I think it's 5 business days or 3 to 5 business days of putting it in. They have to they have to put you in the portal. Winter is a little bit different, but summer is the free open. They have to put you in no matter what. So that was.
So you were summer?
I was summer.
Okay,
yes.
And then
that was over this.
How did Arkansas's interest come about?
Yeah, so I was at Team USA, and I had gotten home, finally made my decision.
Hold on a second. You were at Team USA. Tell me about that before we go through.
Yeah, that was super fun.
What was Team USA?
Team USA is collegiate national team trials, and they take the 70 or whatever top players that they think performed that last year, and invite them out to go represent the nation against, I think it was the Japanese team and the Taiwan or Chinese team. I think it was all 3 actually. But they invite you out. They do a week of trials to kind of figure out the team that they want to put together. So I was out there. I got to meet a bunch of guys, see some of the guys I already knew. And so that was a really cool thing, just to be able to pick some of the best players in the country's brains about pitches, how they think, what they do, what their off day looks like, stuff like that. And then obviously they're all super cool dudes. And so that was just a really fun experience for us. We got to hang out with a bunch of people, and now I know a bunch of people in the SEC. So it's been kind of cool going through, just getting to see the guys again. And then the trials were super fun. You get to go against the best talent in the country, and they put you to the test. And so I didn't end up making it, but it was a super great experience, and I was super lucky to go there.
So you're in the middle of this, and Arkansas calls you?
No, so I have to enter the portal first before they're allowed to contact me. I had kind of been going back and forth and just kind of like what else is out there, and so I was asking some of the guys what their programs were like, and I felt like there was something I was missing out on, just all over in general. And so I got home, entered the portal, and then Arkansas calls me. I got a bunch of calls, but Arkansas calls me. I'm answering as many as I can. I'm getting text messages, whatever. My phone's blowing up.
You're a proven commodity now, much different than when you had basically one offer coming
absolutely,
out of high school.
It was a couple, but absolutely. It's a completely different scenario. So I was like talking to my advisor. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I need something to do. And he's like, don't answer calls, wait for texts. We kind of know that you want to go to the SEC. That's kind of our plan. We're not going to go down in a conference or whatever. And so we kind of just waited for texts and kind of picked out the 10, 15 schools we wanted to have initial conversations with. Arkansas was one of them. And then after a week or so of talking to those guys, kind of narrowed it down to the kind of 3 that I was going to go on a visit to. And that ended up being, the 3 that we ended up going on a visit, and we made this like a kind of a business trip out of it. One day here, one day there, one day here, and went home just to kind of see the place, meet the staff in person, and kind of go on a trip about it, and then made my decision. So
how did Arkansas, outshine the competition? Or
it was actually in that room right across the hall, or the weight room. Every other place kind of told me what they were going to do and what their plan was, but it was kind of one coach there. When I came in, it was Coach Hobbs, Zach Barr, DJ, and then Van Horn was in his office, and he wasn't a part of that conversation, and Hunter Bell, the lifting guy. And they kind of said, this is our initial plan. We only had a week to draw it up, but this is our initial, we called it the 10-month plan. And this is you have 10 months until you are on the draft board. How well can we get you from where you are here to be the best version of yourself there? And they laid it out pretty much in the best way that I've seen anyone do it. And so that was kind of the separators. They had in a week all worked together to make this plan, and we've adjusted it here and there, but we've pretty much stuck to a pretty similar plan. We're going to get you as strong as we can in the weight room. We're going to get you more mobile. We're going to get you doing this down the mound. This is a little bit of a pitch difference we can make. And all these things have come together over the fall and now, and it's just continuing to progress and we're just following the plan. It's just it's kind of weird to say, but I'm just kind of going, it's not like I'm going through the motions, but I'm just kind of on a string. They're kind of helping me go down this road, and it's been really fun. And so, that was kind of the separator, is that initial plan was not like anything anyone else had showed me. So
what kind of confidence comes with feeling like you have the right plan and all you got to do is work the plan?
Tremendously. And I was talking to Hudson White actually about this today. He was like, dude, you just have so much confidence about yourself right now. It's really hard to get you off the mound. Like guys, like the other team just was like, this guy's up there with a different level of stature. He's big chested, whatever. Even if you get a hit off of him or you hit a homer, he's back up there, it's still 0-2. It was just he was saying that to me, and I was like, damn, that makes me feel really good. But at the same time, it's I can't think about that. That's just how I am out there. And so obviously having that right plan and feeling like you're doing all the right things, and you're pitching well and whatnot, it just makes you feel really good about yourself. And then you go out there and that carries out to the field.
Tell me about your relationship with Matt Hobbs, kind of coach to player,
and
how that's worked for you.
Yeah, I feel like I get along with him amazing. If he has to get on me, he gets on me. But for the most part, it's really, us kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. If we have a question, we feel like I feel like I can go to him. If he wants to talk about something to me, he doesn't. He's very open to come and just talk to me about it. There's not really beating around the bush with it. And I think that openness and trust between us, he lets me call the game. It happens with the whole staff. You're allowed to call the pitches. They prepare us. His saying is always, we're in the game of preparation. So he's preparing us to go out there. So we do scouting meetings like we just did, which is what delayed this a little bit. But they prepare us for the whole weekend and whatever, and the hitters, and then they go out there. We work with the catcher, and it's our game to call. So that was really cool that they let us do that, because I've never had that. Really, not even in high school, I don't think so. That's kind of the different level that they take it to, is they're preparing you to go off and be on your own. So
we see those wristbands that you wear. What are those for?
These are it's called a Whoop, and it tracks your strain and your sleep and calories burned and all this stuff. It just kind of helps us track what our bodies are doing day to day, making sure I use it to check my recovery from the night before. If I had a high strain, and the day before, I know to take a little bit off that day, and just throwing in general. And so kind of helps me pace my body for when I need to start. And then the start day is going to be my super peak day. And so that's kind of we can kind of build up to that moment in the week, and then just hit reset the day after, get some good sleep. That's always been a hard thing for me. Before I got this, I was never really a great sleeper. So it's kind of helped me stay true to getting in bed a little earlier, staying in bed a little longer if I have to, whatnot. So staying hydrated, which is always a good thing for me. So just kind of helps track some of those things that you don't always think about, like quality of sleep, instead of just, I got 8 hours. It's well, how good was that 8 hours? So, and then you don't take into account, I worked out 3 days in a row. My body's a little run down. I should probably take a day off. So stuff like that is just all these little things that you can kind of get from it. But I think a lot of the guys love them. So
kind of a reason for everything.
Yeah, it's literally
you know why you're doing something, and then
Absolutely.
that helps you determine how you're going to do things.
Yeah.
It's fascinating just to see how far we've come in that. But it doesn't work unless you pay attention to it.
No, absolutely.
It's part of what you want to do.
And the guys have a group. You can like create an account and make a group with everybody. And so the whole team, I think it's 20 guys on the team have one. And so we got a group, and it helps keep each other accountable. So,
you know, I'm struck by, and have been for a while, but it seems like it's just, it improves every year. The culture here seems to be like, you don't come here unless you're serious about playing at the next level.
Absolutely.
You know,
and that's
like,
the conversation.
Like everything you're telling me is all about a plan, and it's a very focused idea for what you want to do with yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And that's always the conversation Hobbs has with us is you all want to be at the next level. If you don't, you're not at the right place. If you didn't want to be at the next level, if you didn't want to be that gold standard, then you're not at the right place. So that's always the conversation, and the thing we keep in, it's the chip on our shoulders. We like to pride ourselves on how hard we work, how focused we are, how determined we are, and just everything coming together is really kind of like what I think lifts us up.
How would you describe yourself as a player, and what's gotten you to the points you have gotten to and continue to grow?
Man, that's a hard question.
You know, I think, well, I mean, if you think about like a center fielder that can fly and they hit 300 and they steal bases, and, you know, that's obvious, right?
Yeah.
If you think about a 98-mile-an-hour fastball guy, it's obvious.
Yeah, me on the other hand.
When I talk to people about you, you know, across baseball, they're like, man, that guy's solid.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is a compliment. It says you're consistent. You know what you're getting, but somewhere along the way, you weren't just the most overpowering athlete. So what did you do, and what are you doing to be the player and the pitcher that you are?
Yeah, so I think part of it's my pitch arsenal is I have an unusual arm slot with the release height that I have. So it seems like it's a high release, but it actually comes out lower than it would normally come out. And so that's always a deceptive thing for the hitters. And then spin rate's a thing a lot of people talk about these days. I have a higher spin rate, and I get a lot of backspin. And so my fastball is a little bit more deceptive than a normal four-seam at 90 or 92, whatever it may be. So that's kind of helped me. And then I felt like I've done a really good job of, developing my other off-speed pitches, and change-ups gotten really far this year. Sliders and curveball have always kind of been there for me. So I think the combination of all those, and I like to pride myself on my pitchability. I can throw any pitch in any count, trying to cut down on walks right now, obviously. But I think if we do that, there's really nothing that's going to help, it's going to stop me going out and going 7 a weekend. And that's kind of like, that should be my standard. And we talked about that this week, is there's nothing holding you back right now. You're the one holding yourself back. So I think if we can get that on track, then I think we'll be in a good spot.
What's your thought process when you're on the mound? How do you stay in focus, not get rattled?
I say a couple bad words to myself, which I can't repeat. But the other thing is,
you say them into your glove?
No, I just say them into my own head. I mean, sometimes the camera's on me, and I've seen myself mouthing it, and I don't realize it. So I turn into a little bit of a psychopath. But it's pretty much like, attack every pitch is basically what I'm saying to myself. And so if I can attack every pitch like it's the only pitch that matters, then it's going to be really hard for me to get ahead of myself, get stuck on the last pitch, whatever it may be that I've had problems with in the past. Maybe not happy with an umpire's call on a strike or whatever. If I can keep myself pitch to pitch and execute everything like it's the only pitch that matters, then I've been in a better spot than if I don't. So I think that's really the biggest difference maker, is my mindset on the mound is just kind of like, this is one pitch at a time. Let's go out there and do this the best we can.
How competitive? Everybody on the team, I'm sure, is competitive.
Yeah.
How competitive are you just in general?
A lot.
Like, what's that look
we
like?
play a lot of ping pong. That's the biggest thing we do in the locker room. The new show came out, so there's a lot of guys talking trash and trying to play each other and see who's the best, which I think it's Peyton Stovall. Don't quote me on that, though. But I think it's a really good competitiveness, especially with the pitching staff, is everyone's so good and everyone has such good stuff that it kind of helps us one-up each other in a good way. How well can I do this better than you did it? And so it kind of helps everybody get better and better and better. Even the freshmen this year that aren't throwing, they would go anywhere else and be at least a staple bullpen guy somewhere, or maybe even a Friday night starter. Like Gabe Gackle could go be a Friday night guy anywhere else in the country. So the fact that those guys are not starting here just kind of attests to how well our pitching staff's built from the depth basis. And I think it's really good for us, as it kind of helps everybody get better as we go on. So
if you find a really good program, I'll show you guys that aren't starting this year, but they stick around, and then by year 2, and they're going the same level in their pro career as the guy that was the star when they got here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's when you have, a program, when you have that kind of depth like Arkansas has been able to establish. What was it like coming in when you're the new guy?
Yeah.
And you're probably going to be one of the starters.
Mm-hmm.
And you still got to be teammates with all these guys that are all competitive. And then maybe they've been here for a year or a few months before you got here.
Yeah, and so obviously the worry when you're coming in, not that I thought this, but some people worry, they're going to be jealous and, hey, this guy's coming in to take my innings. I felt nothing of that. It was all, we're all pumped to have this guy here. This guy's going to come throw some huge innings for us. We're excited to have you. It was all this pumped up energy of, yes, we're so happy. They were all I felt welcomed immediately. I felt like I was brought into the family. There wasn't any I didn't feel any lash from anybody. And so it was really cool to be brought in like that and really feel like I was just instantly a part of the family. And even with the coaches, there wasn't any buffer of getting comfortable. It was kind of it clicked immediately, which is obviously a really good feeling.
Baseball is superstitious and it can be quirky. What would you say this team's like, just from quirks and those types of things?
So as serious as we are, we have a lot of fun.
Which you can tell though, but I think that helps being serious.
Oh, absolutely. It's, there's a time to be super serious, and that's practice, and absolutely you work it off. And when you go out in the game, you're serious, but you're having fun. It's a fun game. You shouldn't be playing tight. You shouldn't be playing, just stiff. And so the hitters have the gorilla mask and the chain. That was something they started. The joke was always it wasn't a joke. It was gorilla ball, which just means hit the ball hard, play competitive, play like you're a gorilla. And the pitchers, we had somebody give us a gnome. It's like an Arkansas gnome that's on a beach or something, and it's thrown up the Hawaii whatever. So we call it Jerome the Gnome, and he sits in the bullpen every game. We brought him on the road trip to Auburn. And that's just the pitchers thing that they do in the bullpen. And the starters, there's always that superstitious. We watch the starters warm up and whatever. We have handshakes and stuff like that. But I think those two things are some of the more fun things. I think the gorilla mask is awesome, and it just kind of helps us not have to bat flip on the field. You come in and celebrate with your guys, and so I think that's been a really fun thing for us.
What besides ping pong do you guys do, or you guys go out to eat?
Yeah, I went on a little breakfast date with Brady the other day before we had to go do something. But I think a lot of we all like to get food, come here, eat in the mornings, whatever it may be. But if there's a dinner and we have an open day tomorrow, or it's early enough, a couple guys will just go sit down and get food together. Or I know a couple of the guys were going to play golf last Sunday when we got back because it was a day off. Stuff like that, just simple stuff. Hang out at night, go watch another Sunday. There was other games going on, so a couple of guys went and hung out at another house, and I was there for a little bit, just watching some college baseball or watching March Madness, whatever it may be. So there's always a good team bonding experience and stuff like that to go to for the most part. So,
what kind of golfer are you? How good are you?
I'm all right.
I mean, are we breaking 90? Are we breaking 100? Or
80.
Are we better than that? You're breaking 80?
I've broken 70 before, but for the most part,
what?
I'm
all right.
Mid 70s.
Man, you were totally sandbagging.
Mid
right
to high
now.
70s. I don't know. I haven't played in a little bit.
So, and you've been playing for a few years?
Yeah. I mean, I played a little when I was a kid, but I think I played a lot when I started playing. I had nothing else to do. Baseball was shut down. I was throwing in the morning, going playing golf at night, and so I would go play 18 to 36 holes a day and just go do whatever. Because my buddy's dad was a manager at a golf course, so we would just get on and go play forever. So
we're gonna read about you Monday qualifying for a PGA event. And
that's always my fallback plan. I keep making a joke. If I have a bad start, I'm I'm gonna go quit and play golf.
Yeah.
So, But no, I mean it's fun.
It'd be a nice side
I
hustle
think
for
the
you.
mental game of it's really similar to baseball too. It's shot to shot. Can't let the last one get you. Can't let the one in front of you get you. So
you mentioned a minute ago about getting to call your own games, and everybody does. How do you do that from the mound?
Yeah, so, we have a little pitch comm system that the catcher obviously initially calls it, and me and Hudson are usually on the same page. At least that's who's been catching me. I don't know what's going to happen this week, but the catchers do a really good job normally. They do a lot more research than we do. They just kind of tell us what's going on so we know what to shake to. The catchers really do a lot of extensive stuff in video, so they kind of really do call the game. But if we want to shake to something, we're free to or whatever. So, if they call a pitch we don't like, we can just shake, and they usually get it right on the second one or whatever. So, and then if we have to shake a couple times, you're probably not throwing the right pitch, so you should probably reset and go back at it.
Yeah.
But I mean it's pretty simple. But like I've said, I think I shook one time last start on Hudson, and I ended up giving up a hit. So probably shouldn't be shaking.
It's just how it goes sometimes, right?
Yeah, man. So
no knock on the Big 12. Certainly a lot of respect for the baseball teams in the Big
Absolutely.
12. But I do feel like that there's a difference in the SEC.
I think the biggest difference is size.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's
just
it been like facing those batters? And you've only been, at the time we're
2
taping
weeks,
this podcast, you've only gone through 2 starts with SEC clubs.
I think the biggest difference, there's 2 things. It's like, and it's really, I'm not comparing it like a mid-major to a D1, but it's really the depth. It's like, how many quality guys do you have? Like, you'll have a couple really good guys at every school. That's how Division I is, no matter what, especially the Big 12. But it's just that extensive depth of guys that can really, really play. Like, they'll get in there and they'll battle you until their bat falls out of their hands. So, I mean, it's really different. I think it's just the extent of how deep they are. You really got to worry 1 through 9. And the other challenge is not overthinking it. But, yeah, the size is different. There's some big guys in this league, and that's really the biggest difference. Other than that, they all play the game pretty similar. It's, at the end of the day, 90 feet and 60 feet 6 inches, and you go out there and we'll go up against anybody. So,
how similar is this whole experience to what you thought it was going to be?
Honestly, I didn't expect it to be this crazy good and this well knit, but it's exceeded it, and so obviously we're excited. So
yeah, that's amazing, and I hear that a lot. And I think it says a lot about what Dave Van Horn's been able to do.
Yeah, and
the year after year, that consistency of being around.
Absolutely,
and guys sticking around. How would you describe Dave Van Horn as a head coach?
I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. He is. I thank him every day, laying down at bed at night, for the fielders. They are incredible, and in the infield, they don't miss balls really. They don't make throwing errors really, and if they do, it's the next one's on the money. So, having that defense behind me is really, really nice, because I can trust that I don't have to try to strike everybody out, even though sometimes I still do. But at the same time, it's like it kind of lifts the weight off of our shoulders of being worried if they hit it in play. So, but at the same time, he's a great coach. The positioning and everything that he does, and the way that he coaches his team and the calls he makes is just, I think it's levels above other stuff that I've seen.
We were talking about Coach Van Horn, and one thing I've noticed about him, he is old school, but you guys still seem to respect him and love him, appreciate playing for him. But I see other teams, man, with all these antics and bat flips or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What's different about maybe the environment here versus some other teams that do those kinds of things?
Yeah, I mean, they tell us not to do. I mean, you can play with emotion, but don't play emotionally, is what Hobbs told me. And I think it really shows us, or it's kind of like let your game play. Don't try to be flashy. If it comes out and you're just playing with emotion, that's fine, but don't do it just to be seen. So I think some people do it for the wrong reasons. I think the guys that do it when they need to, when it happens, is like Hagen. He comes off after 17 strikeouts, throws his hands up everywhere, turns into a guy from out front of the car dealership. But, it's just he was pumped up. He knew he was done because whatever it was. But I think it just stuff that happens like that naturally is absolutely okay, and that's how it should be. And then obviously the stuff where you hit a wall scraper and throw the bat over the net is a little bit different. But honestly, I don't think we've had any crazy bat flips. So I think it's just keep your head down, play tough, and look up at the end of the game and see the scoreboard. So that's kind of what they preach, is just let the game play.
I like to ask every player that we talk to on the Hog Pod or coach, how you hope that Razorback fans remember you when your time here, whenever that is over. How do you hope they think of Mason Molina?
Obviously, my number one thing is to be remembered from the fans as the guy that always stuck around, signed signatures, said hi to the fans, spent time with people. But baseball-wise, I'd like to be the guy that was the missing piece that helped us win it at the end of the year. That was what Hobbs told me coming in, and we still feel like that's an absolute possibility, if not the expectation. So we're all trying to win that last game, and I think if the end of the year we're raising something over our head, I wouldn't be surprised.